Hello there. I'm so glad you could join us. Please pull up a pew. I'm just about to pour a glass. It's the time of year when I think we should all take a moment and sit back, relax a little bit, and just drink in some good weather and some good times. And hopefully travel with our camera and make some good memories. So I asked friends of the show and listeners, former guests, all of you, to send in your summer vacation gear. And what follows is the little voice notes that I got from all of you. So thank you so much for taking part, for listening, and for being part of this ridiculous adventure that has already culminated in 20 episodes, which I can't quite believe. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
The camera that I'm taking on vacation is the Leica CL. Now, I have to qualify this by saying I did bring the Leica CL to Paris, France, and the dang thing stopped working after a single roll. Devastation. If you don't know, the Leica CL is one of the smallest 35mm cameras pretty much out there, but definitely the smallest with the Leica branding on it that shoots full frame 35. So a great travel camera. And here I am trying to get into the mentality of just take pictures, just have fun. You don't have to bring around the heaviest stuff you got. Just bring around the Leica CL. You don't need to make, artistic magic all the time. Sometimes you just need to take a picture just to remember a moment. And then it freaking breaks after one roll. Thankfully, my neighbor has a Leica CL. So currently, I'm bringing that around. He's been kind enough to let me glom onto his. My other's out for repair. This is really just like almost a therapy session for me, this recording. But that's what I have to contribute. Not only the Leica CL, but also the 32mm Lomo LCA lens, which is basically a body cap. Keeps the whole profile slim. But, I'm definitely nervous that this CL's also going to break.
All right, my friend, summer cameras, it's Allie, if you didn't know. And this changes every day. I keep thinking about what do I want to bring with me, but I did pick up a couple of cameras specifically for the summer, and I will be bringing my Leica M262, which is based off the M240 body, the simpler version, and my GFX 50S. Oh boy. We are going medium format this summer, and I'm excited to check it out.
Hey Ian, it's Mark, aka Souls in Street on Instagram. This summer I'm traveling with my family to 4 cities across 3 different countries: Dubai, Hong Kong, Tokyo, and Kyoto. And as you can imagine, I spent a lot of time deciding what to take. In the end, I decided to take the Fuji X-T5 with 16-80 zoom as my primary travel camera, just because it's versatile and, easy to use, just know my way around it, and it's great for general travel photography. I'm also taking my Nikon L35 AF point and shoot film camera, mainly to finish up a couple rolls of film I've had in a drawer for some time. And lastly, I'm taking my Leica M11 and the 35 Lux FLE version 1. It was a toss-up between that and the X106, just because the X106 is smaller, even more easy to use and can fit in pretty tight spaces. But in the end, I decided to take the M11 just because it should be a memorable experience shooting in these different countries and environments on that camera. Anyway, hope you're having a great summer. Keep up the good work with the podcast. Really enjoying the guests and conversations, and I'm looking forward to hearing more.
Hi, I'm Alex Radsby from Stockholm, Sweden. So I have a honeymoon coming up and I'm debating if I should bring my Leica M6 with a 35mm, but that means I have to go through airport scanners and stuff, which I don't want to do with my film maybe. So I might just take my Leica Q2, just in case if it rains or something, and that camera just solves everything. Yeah, Leica Q2, that has to be it.
Hello Ian and everyone listening. My name is Tom. I'm a photographer from Sydney, Australia, and I go by Inside Framelines on most social platforms. This question actually took quite a bit of thought, as coming on this trip would be my 6-month-old daughter Bronte. I'd consider this kit quite small compared to what I would bring prior to having her. It also needs to fit in with a pram, nappy bag, and everything else that goes along with a baby's needs. Firstly, I'd start with the Leica M10. It's the newest addition to my kit, and I just replaced my Leica M246 monochrome. I'm already in love with this camera. It has fantastic low light ability and incredible image quality. Paired on the front of that would be the Voigtlander 50mm f2 Apo. 50mm focal length is my absolute favourite, and while I'm still trying to get more into the 35mm at the minute, the 50mm is tried and true for me. This lens is one of the best I've ever used and walks an impressive balance of technical perfection while keeping a level of character and uniqueness in everything it produces. To go wide, I'd pick the Voigtlander 21mm f4 Color Scopar. I've had this lens quite a while and it's a brilliant balance of size and performance. The 21mm Leica external finder might have cost me nearly the same as the lens, but it's a perfect pairing with the silver M10. Going long, I'd also pack the Canon 135mm f3.5 thread mount. I've always wanted a longer lens for the M system, and I found this one in great condition for an absolute bargain. It's compact, 40135, image quality is fantastic, it has a really classic look and also adds a little bit of reach to the bag. Lastly, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. As soon as this was announced, I knew it would fit into my kit. I got this camera for the ability to place it somewhere and record the magical moments of having a new baby without having to think about framing, composition, and moving around. It's also not intimidating to use, so my wife is more than happy to pick it up and use it as well. All of this will easily fit into my Billingham Hadley Pro, with enough room for other accessories I usually carry, cleaning cloths, spare batteries, etc. I could also probably cram in a nappy or two at a stretch and really round out the fact that the Hadley Pro is the perfect do-it-all bag.
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm Ian's stepdad, and like Ian, I'm interested in photography. When I go to visit Ian next week, I will be taking with me my Sony A7CR camera, which I particularly like, as it's a small, lightweight camera with a 60 megapixel sensor. The camera also has an AI chip which allows face recognition, which I find particularly useful when I'm taking photographs of my son's Vizsla chasing the ball at high speed. The lenses I will be taking with me will be a 16 to 35 Sony f4, which I find particularly useful when I'm taking photographs of my grandsons, especially in small places like at the Speyside Railway, inside of the coaches. I also tend to carry around my Tamron 28 to 200 f2.8 to 5.6 lens. This is a particularly good lens as it's got a very wide field of view and takes exceptionally good photographs. It is very light and easy to carry around. I found it very useful taking photographs of my stepson Ian and the two grandchildren coming down the water flume in the water park in Scotland. They're there with some prize shots of them and their expressions on their faces. The third lens I will take is a very small 28 to 60 millimeter f4 to 5.6 zoom lens. This is very nice to fit onto the A7CR, and the two of them combined gives a similar size and weight to that of the X100 5 or 6. I found this lens very useful in London because I could put it on the camera and just wander around with the camera. It's not quite pocketable, but it's a very nice lens to use. Hope this is of some use to you, but the lenses I use and the camera I use when I go on holiday.
Hey, thanks for having me back on. I do love this idea that you have guests from the podcast kind of show up at the podcast as reoccurring characters. So here's my bit, and here is what I'm taking with me for my travels. Let's start with the stuff that this audience doesn't really care about, but it's drones and video stuff. So the DJI Mavic Air 3, that one is coming with me. DJI Osmo Pocket 3, GoPro stuff. I need some underwater stuff. Oh, I should say where I'm going. I'm going back home, which is Croatia, on an island in the middle of nowhere. I'm mostly going to be taking photos of sunsets, birds, and my dog. And that's sort of it. So that is all the, video stuff and miscellaneous cameras. Let's call them that way. And then my main camera will be the Fuji X-H2S. I think I'm going to leave the X Pro 3 behind. As much as I love that camera, I think one will be enough. I think one will be enough. Then when it comes to lenses, and when it comes to lenses, I have this kind of utility lens. It's a Tamron 70-70, 2.8. It has stabilization in the lens. So it is just like a good travel lens, a good lens to have. Pretty good for video, although it goes out of focus when you're zooming in. But it is a pretty good lens that I can just do a lot with and don't have to worry about changing stuff out as much. But I don't love using that lens. There are just other Fuji lenses that are a little bit more romantic, a little bit more, I don't know, just better, more interesting, kind of unique. So the ones that I'm going to bring, 8, let's just start from like the widest to the tightest. So it's going to be the 8mm, which is just like my wide angle lens. It is tiny. I bring it everywhere just because every now and then I love that perspective. I've been using ultra wide lenses less and less, but it is a fun lens. I should just bring it. It's so light. After that, it's 16mm, which is the 24mm equivalent. I love that lens. I've been using it more and more. It's one of those like Fuji lenses that you should really have. It's f1.4 if I'm correct. It's too far for me to... Wait, hold on. Yeah, it is f1.4. Love it. Good for astro. I've been using it a lot. Last year, I left it behind. The 16mm lens, it's pretty good for astro with the aperture going down to 1.4. The manual focusing on it is also pretty good and accurate, so it's just a good lens to have. Next one I'm going to bring is the 23 or the 35mm equivalent. Just love it, have to have it. That's all I need to say for that one. And then the next one is the 27 or the 40mm equivalent. It's the 2.8. If you listen to my episode on this podcast, Prime Lenses, you will know that I kind of love that lens, mostly because it's how small it is, and just I love the focal length, but I also do love just how well built it is and how versatile it is. I think it's tight enough for a lot of things and wide enough when it needs to be. Anyways. And then lastly, it's the 56mm or the 85 equivalent, which is f1.2. Beautiful portrait lens, just one of those lenses that if you own a Fuji, you should probably have. So yeah, it is a lovely, lovely lens. And I don't know if there's anything else for me to say on that one. So basically, I'm leaving behind the 50 to 140, which is like 70 to 200 equivalent. I feel bad for leaving that one behind. It is the tightest lens that I have, but it is fine. It's just too heavy of a lens, even on a crop sensor. And then the other lens that I'm leaving behind is 32. Is it 32? Sorry, I'm doing math in my head. That sounds about right. So the next lens that I'm leaving behind is the 50mm equivalent, so the 32mm Fuji lens. Fantastic lens. Love using it, but between 35, 40, and 50, I feel like I have to pick 2, maybe even 1. So I might even leave the 35 behind and just bring my 40. Yeah, and I think that is my gear list. And then I have a lot of other accessories that help me make videos, like a tiny teleprompter, magic clamp, ND filters, polarizing filters, the whole setup. So that's my gear for this summer, and I hope everyone else has a lovely summer and they spend it somewhere lovely or with people who they love. So thanks for hearing me out. Talk to you soon.
Hey Ian, Justin Sorensen here. Thanks so much for including me on the vacation gear chat for prime lenses. So when it comes to deciding on what cameras to bring on a personal vacation, I got a few that I kind of go to, and I'll select them based on where I'm going, who I'm going with, and kind of how much room I have in my bag, honestly. But ideal scenario for me is I'm going to bring my Hasselblad 500 CM. It's got an 80mm lens on it. It's f2.8. For me, this camera is just vibes. It's warm and fuzzy, and it just feels like family vacations. So that's the camera I'm going to ideally bring. Now, if I don't have room for that, I'm going to pack my Leica M5 with a 28mm Elmarit f2.8 on there. Camera will absolutely get the job done and not take up too much room. Then in addition to that, I always like to bring a point and shoot. Point and shoots are just super fun, easy to use. You can hand them off to whomever you're with. So I got a few different ones there, but currently one of my favorites is a Pentax WR90. It's got a 38 to 90 millimeter zoom lens on it. It's just an absolute beaut from the mid-90s. I love what comes out of it. So those are the cameras that I generally bring on vacation. You'll notice that they're all film cameras. And that's because I don't want to be tempted at all to edit or go through images while I'm on vacation. So I just eliminate that from what's possible in my downtime. Film just allows me to stay in the moment. And honestly, that's what's most important to me while vacationing. So that's it. That's my gear. Thanks again for including me. And best of luck with the project. Thanks again, Ian.
Hi, Ian. You often say that making the podcast could turn out to be expensive. Well, it turns out listening to the podcast can turn out to be expensive as well. Because after you posed the question, what will you be taking on holiday with you? It led me to a great deal of deliberation about what I'm going to do for a semi-wide angle option. Now, much wondering about the kit lens and much debating and much YouTube later, I settled on adding the 18mm f2 to my kit. So, to answer your question, when we go to Chersonis's Crete in October, I will be taking my Fuji X-T3, the Fujinon 18mm f2, the Fujinon 23mm f2, the lovely 35mm 1.4, and the Fuji 50mm f2. I'll also be taking my X100F with me, which will probably get most use because a lot of my photography will involve nipping away for a wander while my delightful partner is lying at the pool. But hopefully we'll squeeze in some nice sunrises, possibly some nice sunsets, maybe we'll get a trip or two. But anyway, it'll be enjoyable to get time to spend with family and play with the toys. Hope all's well. Thank you very much, Rab.
If I'm leaving for a flight in 2 hours, which camera would I bring? What is my vacation setup? Whew. I mean, the real answer is it really depends. Depends where I'm going. But if I were just have to say, like, I'm picking up one camera from a drawer. Well, is it one camera or a few cameras? This is hard. Truthfully, I don't think I could just leave with one. I will always feel like I need a backup system. Well, I only have film cameras, so they will be one of my film cameras or two. I'm very tempted to bring the new Pentax 17. I've been shooting on it for the past 2 or 3 months or so, and like consistently, and I've been having really good result. And I think just because it's a newer body, it's a brand new body, camera body, and the fact it's half frame, it gives like it's the most reliable and economical option to bring it with me, because I don't know what I'm going. What if film is hard to get there, right? Like, do I want to shoot a lot but also spend less on film, or am I able to get film over there, or do I have to bring it with myself? See, this is a hard question when you're a film photographer. I'm very tempted to bring a Polaroid camera with me because I love seeing some constant result, because again, when I'm shooting film, I don't always get to see the photos right away. But again, if it's a hot and humid place that I'm going to, I'm less likely wanting to shoot a Polaroid because the result really depends on the weather and the temperature. This is hard. I think I'm less likely to bring my Hasselblad if I'm going to Europe, just because I know it'll be a lot of walking and I don't want to carry such a heavy camera body on me. I mean, I love my Nikon F3. To be honest, like that camera does it all, and I can bring a lot of lenses with me. But that camera also means a lot to me, and I wouldn't want it to be lost or stolen or depends on wherever I go. So I don't know. See, I don't think I can answer this question in short way. Yeah, I'm inclined to just bring the Pentax 17 because it's half frame, double the frame shots, and the lens is really sharp. It renders really well. It has a flash built in, so it kind of works for all the scenarios. If I'm bringing a half frame, I won't bring my favorite Pentax Auto 110 because the frame size is kind of similar. Even though I love that system and the SLR system, but it just doesn't make sense to bring two cameras that create similar-ish result. And I need a second backup camera. This is difficult. This is very difficult and unfair. I would say Hasselblad 500 cm. It's just such a novelty camera, and yeah, and it's pretty. Who cares about my back or shoulder? It's already messed up from carrying it every day. Sure, that's my answer for now.
So much easier to just bring a photographer with you when you travel. I say that, but there really is a management overhead. For example, they do really slow you down on walks unless you keep an eye on them. And you'll also have to make sure that they actually take pictures of the place we visited and not just things like flowers, trees, or an interesting shadow. I want memories of where we were. And Ian really seems to want something he calls art. The camera he'll bring with him is probably the black one. And as for lenses, he'll definitely bring some. In fact, they require their own special bag, which no one else is trusted to transport. He might also bring an instant camera and then also complain that he should have brought the other instant one. He has a lot of them. The more I think about it, it's very time-consuming bringing an Ian.
My thanks again to everyone who took part in the episode. It really was a treat hearing all your messages and pulling those together. This is a shorter episode to give us a little break, to celebrate episode 20 and celebrate the summer times. We'll be back next week with a bumper interview with Torsten Overgaard, which I'm sort of sorry, not sorry. It's like an hour and 40 minutes. it was a great time. I really enjoyed talking to him. We had too much fun. So that's next week. If you enjoyed this, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and places like that. That will help more people to find the show. Tell a friend, and have a wonderful summer. Make some amazing images, and at me on social media. Oh, and if you haven't already, sign up to the newsletter on ianfarrell.com/sign-up. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great time. See you later.